We think we are listening. From the moment we start a conversation, we believe our ears are open. But most of us are just waiting. We are waiting for our turn to speak, waiting to drop our own wisdom, and waiting to fix a problem that wasn't ours to solve. Society rewards the fast talkers. It praises the sharp debaters. But what happens when the people we love stop sharing? What happens when the silence between us becomes a wall instead of a bridge? Welcome back to the Unspoken home. Today, we are breaking the illusion of hearing. We are talking about the most underrated leadership skill, the ability to be still, to be quiet, and to truly receive. Look at the relationships in your life. The wife who speaks in sighs, the son who hides in his room, and the friend who says, "I'm fine," with a heavy heart. Are you hearing their words? Are you feeling their soul? We have been taught that speaking is power. We have been told that leaders must have all the answers. But the strongest man in the room is often the one who says the least. He is the one who creates a sanctuary with his silence. He is the one who understands that a closed mouth allows for an open heart. The noise of the world is deafening. Our own internal dialogue is even louder. We are constantly preparing our next sentence, polishing our next argument, and missing the miracle of the present moment. We are physically there, but emotionally 1,000 miles away. This is a silent barrier in our homes. This is why we feel lonely, even when we are together. Listening is not a passive act. It is an active sacrifice of our own ego. It is the art of disappearing so that someone else can finally be seen. The hardest person to quiet is the one living inside your own head. We believe that listening is a physical act, a simple matter of ears receiving sound waves. But the truth is much more complex. There is a storm raging within us, a constant dialogue of judgments, of memories, and of future anxieties. This is the noise within. It is the invisible static that distorts the frequency of connection. When our partner speaks, we aren't just hearing their voice. We are hearing our own insecurity. We are hearing our need to be right. We are hearing the ghost of a fight we had 3 years ago. We filter their truth through our own pain, and by the time it reaches our heart, it is no longer their story. It is our interpretation. This is the internal ego, the part of us that feels threatened by silence. We fear that if we truly listen, if we let their words land without a shield, we might lose control of the narrative. We might have to admit that we were wrong. We might have to feel something we have been running from. So, we build a fortress of noise. We prepare our defense before they even finish their sentence. We interrupt with a but, or we pivot with a "that reminds me of when I..." We hijack the moment because we are uncomfortable with the depth. Modern life has conditioned us to be reactors, not reflectors. We react to the tone, we react to the trigger, but we never reflect on the underlying need. Look at the clutter in your mind right now. The unfinished tasks at work, the irritation from the morning traffic, the desire to be seen as the hero of the home. All of this noise acts like a wall. It creates a distance that no amount of talking can bridge. To be a leader in your home, you must first lead your own thoughts into a state of stillness. You must learn to observe the noise without becoming it. Imagine your mind as a crowded room. The only way to invite someone else in is to clear a space for them to sit. If the room is full of your own furniture, your own trophies, and your own baggage, there is no place for their soul to rest. This is the sacrifice of the pillar. It is the choice to put down your own heavy crown just for a moment so that you can hold the weight of another. It requires a radical kind of humility. It asks us to stop being the center of the universe. It demands that we value their reality as much as our own. The noise within will tell you that your time is too precious. It will tell you that you already know what they are going to say. It will tell you that you have more important things to do. Do not believe the noise. The noise is the enemy of intimacy. It is a silent killer of trust. Today, I want you to identify the loudest voice in your head. Is it the voice of judgment? Is it the voice of the fixer? Identify it, name it, and then quietly ask it to step aside. Only in the clearing of that internal noise can the music of another person's heart finally be heard. Real connection does not happen in the words. It happens in the space between them. We often view a conversation as a game of catch, where we must grab the ball as fast as possible and throw it back with more force. But the art of listening is more like a dance. It requires a pause, a breath, and a willingness to let the music linger. Most men are fixers by nature. When we hear a problem, our brain immediately goes into diagnostic mode. We look for the leak, we look for the broken part, and we reach for our verbal toolkit. We think that by providing a solution, we are showing love. But often, the person speaking doesn't need a mechanic. They need a witness. They need to know that their pain can exist without being immediately rushed toward a conclusion. The space between is where empathy grows. It is that 3-second pause after they finish a sentence, where you don't say anything at all. In that silence, you are giving them permission to continue. You are telling them that their thoughts are worth waiting for. When you rush to fill the gap, you are effectively closing the door. You are saying, "I have heard enough," or "I am uncomfortable with your emotion." But when you hold that space, you are creating a sanctuary. Look at the power of a simple gatjao or a steady gaze. These are the unspoken signals of safety. A leader knows that silence is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of immense internal strength. It shows that you are secure enough in yourself to let someone else occupy the center stage. Think about the last time you felt truly heard. It probably wasn't when someone gave you the perfect advice. It was when someone sat with you in the dark without trying to turn on the lights before your eyes were ready. They allowed you to be messy. They allowed you to be incoherent. They allowed you to just be. This is what we must provide for our families. We must learn to listen to the subtext. The words are just the surface of the ocean. The real currents are moving deep below. The anger might be a mask for fear. The nagging might be a cry for appreciation. The silence of a child might be a shield for a wounded heart. If you are too busy preparing your answer, you will never see what lies beneath the waves. Practice the art of the intentional pause. Count to 3 in your head before you respond. Notice how the energy of the room changes. Notice how the other person's shoulders drop. Notice how the tension begins to melt away. You are not losing time. You are gaining trust. You are building a foundation that can weather any storm. The world will tell you to be fast, to be loud, and to be certain. I am telling you to be slow, to be quiet, and to be present. Because the most important things in life are never said out loud. They are felt in the sacred space between the heartbeats of a conversation. The greatest mistake we make in listening is trying to be a judge when we should be a mirror. When someone we love opens their heart, they aren't looking for a verdict. They aren't looking for a courtroom where we weigh their logic or point out their inconsistencies. They are looking for a reflection. They are looking into your eyes to see if their pain is real and if their emotions are valid. Think about the last time your partner came to you with a struggle. Perhaps they were frustrated with work or overwhelmed by the weight of the household. Your instinct was likely to provide a fix. You offered a strategy, a different perspective, or perhaps a gentle correction. But in doing so, you unknowingly signaled that their feeling was a problem to be solved, rather than an experience to be shared. Well, being a mirror means reflecting back what you hear without adding your own tint. It sounds like saying, "It sounds like you felt really undervalued in that meeting." Or, "I can see how much that situation hurt your pride." These simple reflections are the keys to the soul. They tell the other person that they are not alone in their internal world. When you mirror their emotion, you are giving them a sense of clarity. Often, we don't even know why we are upset until we hear our own feelings spoken back to us by someone we trust. As the pillar of the home, your job is to provide this emotional grounding. You are the steady surface upon which they can see themselves clearly. This requires you to set aside your ego. It requires you to stop being the hero who saves a day and start being the companion who walks the path. Most men fear that if they don't offer a solution, they are being useless. We have been conditioned to believe that our value is tied to our utility. But the highest utility you can offer is the gift of being understood. A solution might fix a day, but being understood can fix a relationship. Look at the eyes of the person speaking to you. Don't look at the clock, don't look at the television, and certainly don't look at your phone. Your presence is the frame of the mirror. If you are distracted, the reflection is distorted. If you are judgmental, the mirror is cracked. But if you are still, if you are calm, and if you are truly attentive, the mirror is perfect. In that reflection, the other person finds the strength to find their own solutions. They don't need your answers as much as they need your empathy. When people feel heard, then their defense mechanisms drop. The anger dissolves, the anxiety retreats, and the heart opens. This is where true leadership begins. It is not about having the loudest voice, but having the most receptive heart. Today, practice being the mirror. When someone speaks, don't reach for your tools. Reach for their feelings. Reflect the light of their truth back to them, and watch how the room begins to glow. If you are only listening to words, you are missing more than half of the conversation. The human heart rarely puts its deepest truths into sentences. It speaks through the tightening of a jaw, the trembling of a hand, or the way a person avoids your gaze. This is the unspoken language, and to master it, you must learn to listen with your eyes. We often focus so much on the verbal argument that we ignore the physical exhaustion. Your wife might be saying that the house is messy, but her body is saying that she feels unsupported. Your child might be saying they hate school, but their slumped shoulders are saying they feel inadequate. As the pillar of the home, You must be the one who decodes these silent signals. Modern communication has made us blind to the physical. We stare at screens and text messages, losing the ability to read the subtle shifts in energy. But true intimacy requires proximity. It requires you to be in the room, not just physically, but with every sense heightened. Notice the tone of the voice. Is it flat? Is it forced? Is there a hidden sharpness that suggests a deeper wound? Notice the breathing. Short, shallow breaths often signal anxiety that the words are trying to hide. When you pick up on these cues, do not weaponize them. Do not say, "Why are you so tense?" Instead, adjust your own presence to meet theirs. If they are anxious, become the calm. If they are shrinking, create an expansive space of safety. Sometimes, the best response to the unspoken language is an unspoken act. A hand on a shoulder, a long hug, or simply staying in the room when the silence feels heavy. These actions speak louder than any profound advice. They tell the other person that you are attuned to their frequency. You are showing them that they don't have to perform for you. They don't have to find the perfect words to earn your attention. You are already there, witnessing their struggle before they even name it. This is the highest form of respect. It is the ultimate act of leadership to anticipate the needs of those you protect. A leader does not wait for a formal complaint to know that his team is hurting. A father does not wait for a tear to fall to know that his daughter is sad. He sees it in the way she walks through the door. He feels it in the air. To develop this skill, you must first quiet your own restlessness. If you are constantly moving, constantly checking your watch, or constantly thinking of your next task, you will remain blind to the subtle beauty of the unspoken. Slow down. Look at the people you love. Truly look at them. Watch for the flickers of emotion that pass across their faces. Honor the truth that lies beneath the surface. When you learn to hear what isn't being said, you unlock a level of connection that most men never experience. You stop reacting to the symptoms and you start healing the source. The unspoken language is the mother tongue of the soul. Learn it, and you will never truly be a stranger in your own home. The ultimate test of a man's character is not how he listens to praise, but how he listens to the truths that hurt. We often invite communication in our homes until that communication turns into criticism. We say we want our partners to be honest until their honesty challenges our ego. When the person you love tells you that you have failed, that you have been distant, or that your actions have caused them pain, your natural instinct is to build a wall. You want to explain, you want to justify, and you want to remind them of all the good things you have done. But in that moment of defensiveness, you stop being a leader. You become a fugitive running from the truth. Listening to hard truths requires a radical kind of courage. It is the courage to stay in the fire without trying to put it out immediately. It is the ability to hear a grievance, and instead of saying, "That's not true," you say, "Tell me more." As the pillar of the home, you must be strong enough to carry the weight of your own flaws. If you cannot listen to the areas where you need to grow, you will remain stagnant. Your home will become a place of shallow peace, where people stop speaking the truth because they fear your reaction. When intimacy dies, it usually starts with the suppression of difficult conversations. To listen deeply, you must separate your identity from your mistakes. Hearing that you did something wrong does not mean that you are a bad man. It means you are a human being in the process of leading. Look into the eyes of the person giving you the hard truth. Can you see their pain through the filter of your own pride? Can you hear the longing for connection beneath their anger? Often, criticism is just a clumsy request for a better version of you. They aren't trying to tear you down. They are trying to reach you. When you react with anger or silence, you are telling them that their feelings are a threat. But when you listen with humility, you are telling them that their perspective is valuable. This is where the mask of strength must fall. You don't need to be perfect to be a hero. You just need to be present. You need to be the man who can hold a difficult mirror without breaking it. Practice the art of taking it in. Let the words sit in your heart for a moment before you respond. Ask yourself, what part of this is true? Even if only 10% is accurate, focus on that 10%. Own it. Validate it. Thank them for the courage it took to say it. When you honor the hard truths, you create a culture of radical honesty. You build a home where people feel safe to be real. You transform the conflict into a catalyst for growth. The loudest voices in the world are often the most fragile. But the man who can sit in silence, listening to his own shortcomings without crumbling, is the man who truly possesses power. Today, invite a hard truth. Ask the people you love how you can be better. And then, do the hardest thing a man can do. Just listen. We often underestimate the biological impact of being heard. When we listen deeply to someone in pain, we are not just exchanging information. We are regulating their nervous system. We are telling their brain that they are no longer in danger. In the modern world, most of us carry a heavy burden of invisible trauma, of daily stresses, and of quiet disappointments.
I hear you.
We look for relief in entertainment, in distractions, or in substances. But the most potent medicine available to humanity is the focused attention of another human being.
It's okay, you can finally
As the leader of your home,
Everything
you
is
have the
going to be
power
alright.
to be a healer.
I'm
You
here
don't
for
need a medical degree, and you don't need to be a therapist. You simply need to be a witness. When your partner or your child comes to you with a broken heart, they are often in a state of fight or flight. Their world feels chaotic. Their internal dialogue is a storm of why me and what if. By sitting with them in silence, by holding their hand, and by listening without judgment, you become their anchor. You are the lighthouse in their storm. Your calmness becomes their calmness. Your stillness becomes their sanctuary. Healing happens when the unspoken is finally given a voice. Pain that is kept inside grows bitter. It rots the soul. But pain that is spoken out loud and received by a loving heart begins to lose its grip. It is transformed from a monster under the bed into a story that can be managed. This is why your presence is more important than your advice. Advice is a cognitive function. Listening is a spiritual one. When you offer advice too early, you interrupt the healing process. You force them back into their heads, and when they need to stay in their hearts. Instead, try to breathe with them. Match their pace. Allow the tears to fall without rushing for a tissue. Let the anger burn out without trying to douse the flames. The greatest gift you can give a wounded soul is the feeling of being felt. It is the realization that someone else can handle their darkness without turning away. This builds a level of trust that is unshakable. It creates a bond that goes beyond the physical. You are building a home where emotional wounds don't have to be hidden. You are creating a culture where it is safe to be vulnerable. Think about the weight that lifts off your own shoulders when you finally confess a struggle to a true friend. That lightness is what you are providing for your family. You are the guardian of their peace. You are the architect of their emotional safety. Listening as healing requires patience. It requires you to sit in the discomfort of another's pain without trying to fix it to make yourself feel better. It is a selfless act of love. It is the ultimate expression of the pillar's strength. Today, look for someone in your life who is carrying a heavy load. Don't ask them what they need. Don't tell them it will be okay. Just open your heart and let them speak until they have nothing left to say. Watch the healing begin in the silence that follows. In the world of leadership, silence is often a more powerful command than speech. We have been conditioned to believe that a leader is someone who stands on a pedestal, shouting orders and demanding compliance. But true leadership, the kind that builds a legacy in a home, is rooted in the ability to listen. When you listen to those you lead, you are not just gathering information, you are gathering loyalty. You are showing your family that their perspective is a vital part of the mission. A man who only talks is a man who only knows what he already knows. But a man who listens is a man who is constantly expanding his territory of understanding. Think about the dynamics of your household. When you make a decision without listening, you might get obedience, but you will never get buy-in. Obedience is fragile. It breaks under pressure. But buy-in is resilient. It is born from the feeling of being respected. By listening to your wife's concerns or your children's ideas, you are empowering them. You are teaching them that their voice has weight. This is how you build a team of pillars rather than a kingdom of followers. A leader's silent command is the ability to hold the space for others to grow. It is the wisdom to know when to step back and let someone else find the words. It is the restraint to not interrupt a developing thought, even if you already know the answer. When you listen, you are observing the landscape of your home. You see the hidden tensions. You identify the untapped potential. You hear the quiet whispers of ambition in your children that might otherwise be drowned out by the noise of authority. True authority does not need to be loud. The more secure you are in your position as the protector, the less you feel the need to dominate the conversation. You can afford to be quiet. You can afford to wait. You can afford to learn. Listening is the ultimate act of strategic intelligence. It allows you to lead from a place of truth rather than a place of assumption. It bridges the gap between the ruler and the relator. Look at the great leaders of history. They were often the ones who asked the best questions, not the ones who gave the longest speeches. They knew that the most valuable assets are the hearts and minds of their people, and you cannot access a heart that you have not heard. Today, rethink your role as the head of the house. Stop trying to win every argument. Stop trying to have the final word. Instead, strive to be the one who understands the most. Use your ears to map out the needs of your family. Use your silence to invite their brilliance. When you lead with your ears, you create an environment where everyone feels like a stakeholder. The silent command is the power of a man who listens so well that his presence alone creates order. Join me in the final part, where we bring this entire journey together, the legacy of silence. We have reached the end of this journey, but for you, the real work is only beginning. We have explored the noise within, the space between, and the courage to hear the hard truths. Now, we must ask ourselves, what is the ultimate purpose of all this listening? It is to build a legacy. A legacy is not just the money you leave behind or the house that bears your name. A legacy is the way people feel when they think of you. And there is no greater feeling than knowing you were truly seen, truly known, and truly heard by the man you looked up to. In a world that is increasingly distracted, your attention is the most valuable currency you own. When you choose to spend that currency on your family, you are investing in their soul. You are building a foundation of trust that will last for generations. Think about the children who grow up in a home where their father really listens. They don't grow up with a desperate need for external validation. They don't go looking for love in dangerous places because they already found it at the dinner table. They grow up with a voice because you gave them a stage. They grow up with confidence because you were the mirror that reflected their worth. This is the legacy of silence. It is a quiet power that echoes through time. Long after you are gone, your children will remember the way you leaned in when they spoke. They will remember the way you put down your phone. They will remember that in a world of noise, your presence was their peace. As the pillar of the unspoken home, your strength is measured by your receptivity. Hollow pipe can carry water, but a solid pillar supports the entire structure. By being a listener, you become the emotional gravity of your household. You hold everything together, not by force, but by understanding. The art of listening is the art of love in its purest form. It is a sacrifice of the self for the sake of the other. It is the highest calling of a man. So, as we close this chapter, I challenge you to make silence your superpower. Don't just hear the words, feel the heart. Don't just solve the problem, soothe the person. Be the man who is remembered not for what he said, but for how well he listened. The noise of the world will continue to rise. The demands on your time will never stop. But within the walls of your home, let there be a sanctuary of stillness. Let your ears be the gateway to healing, and your heart be the home for the truth. Thank you for joining me on this path. Remember, the most important conversation of your life is happening right now. Are you listening? My name is Anna, and this is the Unspoken Home. Until next time, stay still, stay strong, and stay present.